Today, we're diving into one of the most ambitious healthcare projects happening anywhere in the world. It's a plan to fundamentally change the quality of medical care for over 1 billion people in India. And this isn't just about some dry policy papers, it's about how those ideas actually translate into life-saving results on the ground. But let's start with a question for you. When you walk into a hospital, what do you think is the single biggest danger you could face? Go on, think about it for a second. Now, you're probably thinking it's the illness that brought you there in the first place, right? But the data tells a much scarier story. According to a huge report in The Lancet, a staggering 60% of deaths in lower middle-income countries aren't because people couldn't get to a doctor. Nope, it's because the care they got was poor. Just think about that. The system itself, not just the disease, is often the bigger threat. This was a reality that India knew it had to tackle head-on. But, figuring out the solution wasn't a straight line. For decades, the whole approach to improving healthcare quality was, it was kind of a mess, really fragmented. You can see the long search for an answer right here on this timeline. It starts back in 1997, and over the years, all these different programs were launched. Some focused on just the buildings, the infrastructure. Others tried to borrow standards from the business world, like ISO 9001. Now, they were all good ideas, but the result was this patchwork of different, disconnected systems that didn't talk to each other. And that really gets to the heart of the problem. A 2012 study basically confirmed it, saying exactly this. All these efforts were just bits and pieces. There was no single, unified approach. The big takeaway was that India needed its own framework, one designed specifically for its public health system, not something copied from another industry. So to build that system, they had to go back to square one and ask a really basic question. What do we even mean by quality healthcare? And it turns out it's not just one thing. It's actually a combination of a few key ideas. First up, you've got quality control. Think of this as the inspection step. It's all about catching errors after they've already happened. Like a pharmacist double-checking a prescription before handing it over. It's absolutely essential, but it's totally reactive. Then there's quality assurance, which is the opposite. It's all about being proactive. This is where you design systems to prevent errors from ever happening in the first place. A pilot's pre-flight checklist is the classic example. And in a hospital, a safe surgery checklist does the exact same job. And finally, you have quality improvement. This is the big picture view. It's this constant, never-ending effort to make the entire system better over time. Always learning from data, always looking for a better way to do things. So when you put all of that together, you get these 6 official dimensions of what truly high-quality care looks like. It has to be safe and effective, of course. It has to be centered on the patient. But it also has to be timely, efficient, and equitable. And that last one is crucial. It means everyone gets the same high standard of care no matter who they are or where they come from. Okay, so armed with this really clear definition of the goal, India developed its answer to that whole fragmentation problem, the National Quality Assurance Standards, or NQAS for short. Now, NQAS isn't just another checklist or another standard. You can think of it more like a complete operating system for a hospital or clinic. It brilliantly weaves together the reactive checks of quality control, the proactive systems of quality assurance, and that long-term vision of quality improvement all into one single unified system. And what's so great is that at its heart, the whole system is beautifully simple. It's basically a powerful 2-step loop that just keeps going. Step 1, you measure how you're doing to find the gaps. Step 2, you use proven tools to fix those gaps and make lasting improvements. Then, you just measure again. It's a cycle of constant progress. Okay, so all that theory is great, but what does this actually look like in the real world? Let's walk through a real-life example of how NQAS solves a common and super frustrating problem. So a primary health center got feedback from patients about a major issue. On average, people were waiting almost half an hour just to get registered. I mean, we've all been there, right? We know how maddening that can be. So instead of just guessing what the problem was, the quality team used a special tool for root cause analysis. You can see it here. It's called a fishbone diagram, which is kind of cool. The head of the fish is the problem. the long wait times. And all the bones are the potential causes, which they sorted into categories like people, place, and processes to systematically figure out what was really going wrong. And their deep dive turned up some key problems. For one, there was no single person assigned to the counter. The counter itself was tucked away in the back, hard to find. The policy was that registration didn't even start until 30 minutes after the clinic opened. And the forms were way too complicated. I mean, no wonder people were waiting so long. So, armed with that specific knowledge, the team tested out a bunch of simple, common-sense solutions. They moved the counter right to the front door, started registration earlier, created a much simpler form, and put up clear signs. You'll notice these aren't expensive, high-tech fixes. They're just practical improvements to the process. And the results? They were immediate, and they were dramatic. Just look at the impact here. The average wait time was almost cut in half, dropping from 28 minutes all the way down to just 15. That is a huge difference. And this wasn't just a number on a spreadsheet. It directly led to a much better experience for patients. The satisfaction score for wait times, the thing that kicked this whole process off, jumped significantly from 3.3 to a solid 4 out of 5. This is that NQAS loop in action. Measure, improve, and see a real-world impact. Now, that one small win in one single clinic, it's really a small version of a much larger transformation. This systematic way of thinking has huge implications for the future of health, not just in India, but everywhere. So why does all this matter? Well, because a system that people can count on to deliver high-quality care builds trust. It's the absolute foundation you need for universal health coverage and to meet global development goals. And most importantly, by focusing on quality, it directly attacks that shocking 60% statistic we started with. Ultimately, it saves lives by making healthcare safer and more effective for everyone. India's NQAS is a really powerful blueprint. It proves that improving a system as huge and complex as national healthcare is actually possible. It's not about finding some magic bullet. It's about committing to a continuous cycle of just getting better day by day. And that really leaves us with a final question to think about. How can we make sure this focus on quality is at the heart of healthcare absolutely everywhere?